plan, a direction, a commitment to build something that lasts. And the truth is, we've already started to build. We've seen progress, we've felt progress. But the question tonight is simple. Where do we go from here? And how do we make sure we return? Because if there's one thing we know, we've come too far to turn back now. So let's get into it. Joining me tonight are leaders that are shaping our future and individuals that have stepped into and forward to serve their communities directly. This evening I have with me Minister of Energy and Transport and candidate for Elizabeth, JoBeth Coleby-Davis. Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources, candidate for Centerville, Jomo Campbell. Ambassador and candidate for Fort Charlotte, Sebastian Bastian. Senator and candidate for Killarney, Robyn Lynes. Let's get started. What does progress mean to you? Not just the country, but for the people who are seeking to be represented. Jomo, can I get a brief response from you?
Definitely. For us in the Senate. Yes, definitely. Thank you for the question. For me, progress means ensuring that we do not leave persons in the same condition as when we met them. We must be able to go back and look and see the improvement in the lives of every individual through every street corner. And that's why door-to-door canvassing is so important. Developing a relationship with your constituents is so important, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's not just about policy, it's about people loving people. And the best way to do that is on a one-to-one basis, and that's the true definition of progress. Building that direct relationship, member of parliament with constituent, one door at a time.
JoBeth, can you take the same question for me, please?
Progress for me is having that real-time experience and seeing complete transformation as you serve. And so it's just not speaking it. It's that becoming the reality for the many who've asked you to serve, who've asked you to represent them, and that you remain an advocate for the people, but also all of your policies that you're initiating are uplifting them at the same time. You're not leaving them in the same position, but you're also uplifting them to a better, more realized place in this country, and that they can grow and build and transform their lives and the communities that they live in.
Thank you so much. Ms. Lynes.
Good evening to you, and good evening, Bahamas, and everybody that's here. To me, progress is fearless intention. And I say that because when it comes to the work that we've had to do as a country, we couldn't do something cosmetic. We couldn't do something surface. We had to get right to the root of the challenges that we faced as a nation, whether it was energy reform, whether it was education, whether it was healthcare restructuring. We had to get to the very basis, do the heavy lifting, do the hard work. That takes time. And sometimes because it takes time, people get frustrated, they get weary. But progress is not bringing solutions that are temporary. It's bringing solutions that are sustainable. I'm glad we have a government that had fearless intention, that it wasn't just about fixing a temporary problem. It was about resolving the issues in this country for Bahamians today, but most importantly, for Bahamians tomorrow.
Sebas, can you take the same question for me, please?
Yeah, progress for me means inclusion, ensuring that our definition of progress includes the wants and the needs of the constituents that we serve. I truly believe that progress is also perpetual, so it's always important that we don't compartmentalize our progress into 5-year increments. Progress is a long-term vision that is executed in incremental steps, and making sure that we are executing on the plans that we put together that's in concert with the needs of our people, and ensuring that that is an ongoing thing. And if we get it wrong along the way, we tweak, we measure, we reset, and we keep going, because progress is perpetual, and we have to make sure that it's intentional, inclusive, and progressive.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the blueprint for progress.
is changing. It's bringing new challenges, but also new opportunities. The truth is, our economy always left too many Bahamians out. Now we're opening new doors in agriculture, tourism, energy, entrepreneurship, providing grants, scholarships, national service, and upskilling. A new generation is rising, and we're finally moving in the right direction, building an economy that includes everyone.
2021. Borders overrun. Gang wars raging. Crime out of control. 4 years later, we're stronger. More than 1,000 new police and defense force officers, new interceptors protecting our waters, record numbers repatriated, and with stronger security partnerships, tougher anti-gang laws, and shantytown crackdowns, we're tightening our grip. Stronger borders, safer streets. This fight is never finished.
A storied party falling apart. F&M's fleeing. Chaos. Confusion. Even court battles. What's happening with the F&M is sad. Divided. Directionless. Dysfunctional. The ones left behind won't admit it, but it's chaos inside. They say a fish rots from the head down. If Michael Pintard can't keep his own party together, how can he run an entire country?
All right. Ambassador Bastian, candidate for Fort Charlotte. For decades, we've relied heavily on tourism. But this blueprint speaks to diversification, especially the orange and blue economies. Break that down for us. What does that really mean for Bahamians?
Well, yes, that's correct. Historically, we've depended on tourism, which has been very good for us as a country. And if we want to really start to get the economies going, we need to have multiple sources of industries that we can rely on to grow our economy as a whole. You know, orange economy with the creatives, et cetera. We've seen that we live in a world where content has become king. And we have a lot of talent here in the Bahamas, not just in like graphic design and music, but also in our culture, our cultural expressions, the things that we can create that we can be exported. We can export our culture now. The world now has been democratized in terms of our ability to showcase everything we have as a country and really tapping into our ability to ensure that all of our creatives have a platform to take their talents to the world. So we have to be a lot more intentional of that as a government, harvesting those platforms, creating those platforms to harvest that raw talent and make sure that we don't just display them, but we also have a monetization mechanism for them. Because it's one thing to go out there and put your talent on showcase for free, but there's another thing to go out there and monetize that. I've traveled around the world, and one thing that I see that is commonly missing from what I think we have as a people is our ability to monetize our culture. And if I was to single out an example like John Canoe, everywhere I go in the world, when I experience cultures of other parts of the world, it's a paid experience. So I think we need to take that as a starting block where it can't just be Bahamians, Valley Saxons, and then the lights go off and that's it. We just have bragging rights. But having tourists come here, immerse themselves in our culture, pay for that experience, and really have that proceeds go back to these programs so that we can actually grow these bigger and better for our national prosperity.
Thank you. Minister Coleby-Davis, candidate for Elizabeth. None of this works without infrastructure. So how are energy and transport enabling this new economy?
So, thank you for the question. One of the things that was a priority of the Davis administration was to lower the cost of living, which is completely tied to lowering the cost of electricity in our homes, right? And so our focus and our intention was, one, make it more reliable, make it affordable, make it sustainable. And in order to do that, we had to tackle everything all at once. So the transformation included grid modernization, transforming our grid to eliminate so much of the line loss, but also making sure the low cost of electricity reach the homes right away. So while you're working, like my colleague here, Ms. Lynes, pointed out, sometimes progress takes time. And so one of the steps we chose to do in reducing that cost right away was our equity rate adjustment program. And that saw that the category of 0 to 200 kWh, kilowatt hours, is reduced and a zero base rate. So everyone, if they look on their bills, they are paying zero base rate at 0 to 200 kilowatt hours of usage, right? So that's immediate reduction in costs at your homes. To continue that, we're bringing in cleaner fuel by LNG. We're also implementing renewables. So we're having solar, battery energy storage. This reduction in electricity costs, it does not only benefit the residential. This is also benefiting the businesses as well, because once you reduce the cost of electricity, every single person, every single Bahamian, every single business in the Bahamas will have that reduction felt across the board. And so that's important for us, and we're going to continue building on that progress to continue reducing the cost of electricity, which would also help us in reducing the cost of living.
Thank you so much. So this isn't just about growth. This is intentional growth. That is astronomical. Thank you so much for that. Now, Senator Lynes, candidate for Killarney. Young people and entrepreneurs are not just asking for an opportunity. They don't want handouts. They want opportunities. What is actually changing for them right now? You're on the ground. What are you seeing?
Well, thank you. I think one of the things we're seeing is that there's an expansion of what the word you just used, opportunity. One thing I find about entrepreneurs, about people who want to own, they want the latitude and the freedom to build organically, not to be controlled by any means, but to build organically. And so when you see programs like Upskilled, when you see programs like the apprenticeship program, when you see the expansion of the work of the Small Business Development Center, that persons who want to enter into business, not just from the point of having an idea, but actually having a resource that I can go to this place and learn and understand business. I can understand finance. I can understand marketing. I can get assistance with building a business program, building from taking it from idea to execution. I think what people are telling me as I canvas, as I traverse, that there are more support services for entrepreneurs than there's ever been before. This is progress. This is progress. Another thing persons are saying is that there is more and greater capacity and opportunity for me to build myself as I build my business, for me to just build my skill set. So I can go and now have training for universities that are accredited all over the world for free. BTVI has expanded. The University of Bahamas expanded. So we are seeing a smarter populace. We are seeing a more, intuitive populace, a populace now that not only has access and opportunity, but has support and resource.
Thank you. Minister Campbell, candidate for Centerville. We often separate entrepreneurship from agriculture, but we should not. How does food security create economic opportunity?
Well, that's an awesome question. I'll start off by saying this. We have a food import bill that 4 years ago was pegged at $1 billion. That's $1 billion leaving our local economy. Could you imagine if we were able to turn that around and have that circulate through the national economy in the Bahamas? And that is what we aim to do. We have successfully reduced that by approximately $400,000 in the recent years. And one of the many ways we decided to do that was in just recently, as you would have heard, about launching our Agri Expo, relaunching our Agri Expo. That was about 2 weeks ago. Was held at the Gladstone Road facility. We had over 100 vendors who participated in 3 days. And I'm proud to say that on almost every day, each vendor completely sold out. Completely sold out. And so what it goes to show is there's an appetite for a Bahamian product, locally grown, fresh, organic. And once the appetite is there, we have to ensure that the producers are able to meet that appetite. Additionally, just yesterday, BAIC held their 5th annual Taste and Tell on the Western Esplanade. There was hardly any parking space on Long Wharf. And we had over 67 vendors who were out there producing all locally made Bahamian products. Oil, soap, lotion, you name it. And then I just want to remind you, Bahamians are a proud people. We are an industrious people, and there isn't anything that's happening anywhere else in the world that we can't do here once given the opportunity.
I absolutely love that for us. So this is bigger than food. This is about ownership and economic independence.
Yes.
Jomo, you have given us so much food for thought. Thank you so very much. Now, let's make this real. What's the one thing people can feel right now?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question because it's timely. The one thing we can feel right now, the entire country, is the price of eggs.
Yes. You want to expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, certainly. I think it's important for us to realize where we came from. We came from just a few years ago with the entire planet facing bird flu. We had our big brothers to the north who were on the verge of saying no more exporting of eggs because they want to keep it for themselves. Eggs at a dozen were about $15 per dozen. $15 per dozen. The reality of the day was the Bahamas was one of the first countries, if not the first in this region, to get it under $10 and under $7. And I'm proud to say that we are now under $4 per dozen with eggs, local eggs, in our food stores.
Thank you so much. JoBeth, I want to ask you as well. I want us to make this real, right? What is one thing people can feel right now?
Well, I know from my portfolio, everywhere I go, I'm now hearing how people are glad to go to BPL and pay their electricity bill. I'll give you a story that just recently happened. I was out having lunch at a social house, and a young man who was serving the table, I just was, everywhere I go now, I'm asking them, are you choosing progress? And he was very encouraged to say, I am choosing progress because I've seen so much that this government has achieved. He said, I'm so proud to say this is the one time you could say you looked around and you saw that the government has achieved so much. They have created so much opportunities. And then he just stopped and he said, and whoever that woman is in charge of BPL, let her know. I say, keep it right there because my bill has been under $100 for the last so many months. And that's the realness of progress under this administration. Gone are the years when administrations say it's coming. You have seen so much transformation in almost every ministry. Progress is also some of my constituents coming and saying, I got my promotion. I got my P&P. Progress is also taxi drivers saying, I'm holding my own plate. This is what progress is about. Experiencing that change while the administration is still serving. And I was so proud to see my colleague, Minister Campbell, smiling as big as ever when he was putting those golden yolk eggs on the shelf this week. That's what progress is, and I'm proud to be a part of an administration that is showing and having Bahamians experience the progress while we're still serving.
Okay. Sebastian, I'm going to ask you the very same question. I want you to make it real. What is the one thing that you can feel right now in present time?
Well, like Minister Coleby said, energy, the progress we've made in energy, the progress that we've made in housing, and with all of the upcoming developments that are planned, as I go door to door, everyone wants to own a home, or everybody wants to have affordable living. And Minister Coleby is working very diligently on the energy side of it, and then there comes the accommodation side of it. And if we can bring the rent down to match the pocketbook, if we can produce more affordable homes at a price where the mortgage is manageable, we will put a astronomical dent in our definition of cost of living and what is really plaguing and pulling down our citizens every single day. So very excited to see the progress that they've made in housing and all of the plans that are upcoming for housing. The progress also in the development of the new campus of BTVI. I've seen the master plan, and this government is very intentional about ensuring that, when we talk about we want to support entrepreneurship and we want to give opportunities, we recognize that the foundation of all of that has to be an educational system that is going to output and produce the best and brightest minds, that's going to be captains of industries, that's going to start these businesses, that are going to have the knowledge and the capacity to seize these opportunities, and making sure that they have the skill set and experience to be aligned with what the economy and the economy actually wants. And I'm very proud to see the progress that's being made in education as well.
Thank you. Robyn, I will have you answer that same question for me, please. What can you feel now?
Well, I think to surmise what all of my colleagues are saying, and in one word, I feel hope in this country. I feel hope in this country. When we came into government in 2021, was a completely different energy. It's a completely different feel. And the level of disparity and despondence was great. And now, because of progress, now because of what has been taking place in real time, people are hopeful again. And when people become hopeful, activity spurs. So more persons are opening businesses again because of progress. You talk about education. After COVID, when we came into governance in 2021, students weren't even coming to school. We had to be creative and innovative and find ways to get them out again and to help parents at the same time. So the National Breakfast Program did that. And now, absenteeism is down. Children are coming earlier to school. Parents have more disposable income in their pockets. It may seem small, but it's hope coming again. Unemployment. The lowest it's been, not since 2020 or 2019 or 2018, since 2008. People are working. People are moving. People are in homes again. Persons are incorporating companies again. Bahamian ownership is on the increase. And where there is hope, there's progress. You're going to see expansion. And this is what I'm feeling, hope, because Bahamians aren't just living in a country that they feel that they can survive in. Now, more and more, I'm proud to say, more of us, more people that look like us and look like you, we're thriving.
So progress is not coming, progress is actually here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the blueprint for progress.
2021. Borders overrun. Gang wars raging. Crime out of control. 4 years later, we're stronger. More than 1,000 new police and defense force officers, new interceptors protecting our waters, record numbers repatriated, and with stronger security partnerships, tougher anti-gang laws, and shantytown crackdowns, we're tightening our grip. Stronger borders, safer streets. This fight is never finished.
New roads and airports are connecting our islands. Energy reform is bringing electricity prices down, while young Bahamians are stepping up, gaining new skills for new opportunities. Respect for workers. Support for entrepreneurs. We're modernizing energy and infrastructure across our islands and preparing Bahamians to succeed in a new economy. Transformations this big take time. Let's choose progress.
This is the National Youth Guard program designed to train young people to help the Bahama Islands in times of disaster.
I decided to join to better serve my country as well as to better myself.
We train the help in search and rescue,
electrical, plumbing, and carpentry.
And things that they can actually expand on in their careers.
Young people who join the Youth Guard program discover a sense of identity, a sense of purpose, and a sense of patriotism.
This program isn't about only the individuals, it is about the country.
Welcome back to the Blueprint for Progress. Let's get a little bit deeper. Let's dive directly in. Minister Campbell, what is the national plan to secure our food future?
Well, first of all, the Bahamas has signed on to CARICOM's vision of 25 plus 25, which simply means that we aim to reduce our food import bill by 25% by the year 2030. Now, how do we go about achieving that? Agriculture was fast becoming a very aging sector, with the average age being 65 plus. So the first thing we realized we had to do was encourage younger persons, educate our country, educate our local population about exactly what it is that is happening, and also encourage and excite people to participate in local production. So we've aimed to scale up local production. We've done that through various ways. Firstly, on a micro level, by expanding backyard farming. So and I'm proud to say that we've given out a record of approximately 2,000 backyard farming kits. If you remember, Kendanika, we're not that old, but every house had either a finger pepper tree outside, some fruit trees. You were able to know what time of year it is just by what fruits were in season. My grandmother turned 105 just last week. Yes. And, she still, on a daily basis, has soursop leaf tea, breadfruit leaf tea. So we just want to scale up what was done in a traditional manner, but now making it commercial, making it marketable, making it attractive for younger persons. So one of the ways we did that through policy was we established the first ever memorandum of understanding between my ministry and the Ministry of Education to create the formation of the Agriculture and Marine Cadet Program.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I'm proud to say that program was launched and is supported by volunteer young boys and girls of this country. And within 48 hours of that program being launched, we had over 100 boys and girls subscribing to sign up for the program. So what does that show you? It shows us that the passion is there. So the ministry then had to match the passion with opportunity. And how did we do that? We did that through the granting of over $1.2 million, some of the largest grants ever given out in the history of this country to farmers and fishermen. Yeah. Because we understand that the only way to achieve food security is to ensure that local production takes place from a micro to a macro level. And then we want to ensure that the industry is resilient. One of the things we learned during the bird flu pandemic is being an archipelago was actually an advantage for the Bahamas. Because if birds got sick on Cat Island, we could rely on birds from Andros, Exuma, or Eleuthera. So it truly goes to show that the Bahamas is blessed. And we have to take advantage of all of these God-giving blessings that, we have at our fingertips. And so we've been doing that through the various programs. We've also excited the students in the programs by giving grants to schools that have their farming facilities. And I'm proud to say that we just upscaled that number to over 30 schools at the recent Agri Expo. So now you can go to H.O. Nash, you can get poultry, you can get eggs, you can get fresh produce. You can go to Ellen Coakley School in Exuma and get the very same thing. And so we are sharing the idea of food security around the schools to encourage the younger persons to get into this industry. Because agriculture was traditionally seen as a straw hat and cutlass industry, but we've moved far beyond that. We now in our ministry have the first ever drone unit of certified drone pilots. Certified drone pilots. Last year, BAMSI Bamsey had a record number of enrollment in its history. And so it shows that the younger persons are desirous of taking the bull by the horns and ensuring that the Bahamas becomes food secure and food sovereign, because we don't want other people telling us how to eat, what to eat, and when to eat.
So for us in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, food security is independence.
Indeed.
Absolutely. So now we're going to go into another question. Ambassador Bastian, we are ready for a digital community. We have far outgrown what we see now. Where do you see AI in our future? Is this an AI-driven future for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas?
Well, it has to be. The AI is here, AI is now, and AI is going to be the future. And I think we're making very bold step as an administration. As you see our blueprint for progress, we are including AI in the curriculum from K to 12. Because we recognize that we have to arm our students with the knowledge to compete and progress in this society we find ourselves living in. That's why, again, going back to the BTVI campus and upskill program, those upskill has an AI course. We have 40 courses in upskill. We're going to expand that to 200 courses, which will include more and more AI courses. Because it's not just about K to 12, it's all of us. Everyone has to commit to be lifelong learners. This is going to impact our everyday life, particularly even in government. We've heard the catchphrase, ease of doing business. We've been hearing that now for decades about wanting to improve that. Artificial intelligence now gives us an opportunity to take that phrase, throw it to the side, and really take another approach to it. And that approach would be like government automation. And through government automation, it's going to be made possible through using tools like artificial intelligence. And that, in turn, is going to make it easier for us to do business. The technology is so profound. It actually impacts how we market, how we communicate, how we serve our customers, how we analyze data in the most powerful way. So there's no version of our future that is going to exist unless we try to be the leaders in this region in adoption into artificial intelligence. I can tell you that is a very, very important part of this administration's agenda. And we're not leaving the biggest elephant in the room and how we also police this. So legislation around fair practice and responsible AI usage is also at the forefront of how we're going to incrementally roll this out. There's a lot of countries that currently have already adopted a lot of this within their schools and throughout their government. So there's precedents for us to learn from. And we're doing a lot of studying now on some of the pros and cons that other regions have incurred so far, so that we are taking the best parts of what's already been achieved and then, and growing and incrementally implementing this across our country.
Okay, thank you so much. JoBeth, what does modernization look like for everyday Bahamians?
Thank you for your question. This government has taken on a task to do the heavy lifting that we needed to happen in our country, I would say almost 15 years ago. And so modernization is what we're seeing happen right before our eyes in education. Long before we even thought we would be able to feed some of our children, we now have a system that's feeding all of them in our food breakfast program. Modernization is what I see happening with a lot of farmers in my community, in the constituency of Elizabeth, where I serve. I've had so many testimonials of persons that benefited from the grant program to expand their backyard farming. And also, one of my favorite stories that I share is 14-year-old who I met in the first year of my term, Diore Scott, who also have chickens, and she also had her own egg program that she had in her backyard. And she was a recipient of the grant through the Ministry of Agriculture to expand her egg program in her backyard. She's now 18 years old. She's now in university and still benefiting from her business because of the growth and expansion. Because we're living in a modern world, people should have access. It should not just be the government bragging. It should be these stories. I visited Abaco and I met a young lady who's also a farmer. She took me in and gave me a little tour of a backyard and told me that she was the first runner-up in the program that we had. I can't remember the name of it. It's the one that the award ceremony, the Agrarian Awards. Yes. And I was so excited to hear those testimonies coming out of the family island, because that's modernization. We're modernizing in energy. I've talked about it, but we also have interrupters that we have on our transmission and distribution lines now. And interrupters, what they do is when you have a fault in the line, it doesn't travel once you have an interrupter. The interrupter opens up and it stops the fault from traveling. So that means that a smaller area would experience that outage and it would not travel to a larger area. So you no longer have those large spans of areas in the Bahamas experiencing an outage when it was just a small fault in one line. The interrupter opens, and that also helps with our linemen finding the fault very fast, because all they have to do is drive the line, look for the open one. That's where the fault is. Go up, do the correction on the line, close the flap, and then that area is returned to power. And so we're modernizing. Also on our family island, we're modernizing with microgrid, hybrid microgrid. So it's not just producing your energy with fuel. Yes, the cleaner fuel, liquefied natural gas, is going to be incorporated in all of our family island, not just Nassau, but also we're also implementing solar and battery energy storage on the family islands. So when we talk about modernization, we're also talking about modernization in our family islands, who may still have their unique culture, but they should also benefit from growth, expansion, and opportunities when the government implement those policies.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, we are building the future now. Yes? Absolutely. Senator Lynes, how do we prepare people for ownership and not just jobs?
Thank you for that question. I appreciate that. I think it starts with language. It starts with a training of our youth. So when you enter into the educational space, we have to start to retrain the thinking of our students that we're not teaching you how to work for someone. We're not teaching you how to be an employee. It doesn't stop there. We're teaching you how to become the employer. So it's about, to me, it's about critical thinking skills. It's about management. It's about discipline. It's about understanding. And it's about early opportunity as well. So through programs like the apprenticeship program, we don't have to wait until our students are 15, 16, 17 years of age to introduce them to apprenticeship opportunities. Every time I hear someone say, the first Bahamian too, and we're in 2026, I'm a little saddened by it. It means then that we've missed the mark of identifying undersubscribed areas in our country and funneling and channeling our children specifically toward those gaps. We are in a country where we should not be importing any human resource anymore. Bahamians must be able to take over those industries and those spaces. And secondly, we have to monitor our memorandums of understandings and our agreements with foreign entities where it is stipulated that Bahamians should be trained, that Bahamians should shadow certain of those jobs and certain of those upper management positions, so that after 2 years, 3 years, or whatever the agreement may be, there ought to be a shifting. There ought to be a shifting now where Bahamians step in, we have learned, and now we dominate, and now we lead. That is what ownership should sound like. That is what ownership should look like. And when you ask our children today, what do you want to be? I need more and more and more of them saying, I want to be a leader. I want to be in charge. I want to own. I want to own in my country.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now, I want you to answer, everybody on this panel, I need a one-line answer from you. What future are you fighting for? JoBeth?
I'm fighting for my daughter, Bethany Davis.
That's it.
To be able to be an owner in her country.
Thank you. Jomo, what future are you fighting for?
Well, I definitely have to join in. I'm fighting for a future for our children. I'm also fighting for the future that my grandparents fought for 95 and 105 years ago to ensure that I have the opportunity that I have today.
So what you're saying is that we are ancestors' prayers.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Sebas, what future are you fighting for?
Well, I'm fighting for the future of my children and all of the children here in the Bahamas. I think that we have a generational responsibility, just as the generation before us, so that we leave this Bahamas and we transfer something that is progressive, something that is working, something that is forward-thinking to the next generation behind us to take over so that this can operate in perpetuity. Yeah. So, you know, I'm fighting for progress and perpetuity.
Thank you. Robyn, what future are you fighting for?
Kenny, honestly, in addition to our children, I'm also fighting for a future where Bahamians are running to home and back home and not away from it. I think we've lost too many of our talent to other jurisdictions and other countries. And the thing about Bahamians, wherever we go, wherever we show up, we lead. And so we are advancing so many other places and not here. So I'm fighting for a Bahamas where when it comes to opportunity, Bahamians know that that is here, that is home. When it comes to land ownership, that is home. When it comes to opportunities for business, when it comes to opportunities for access to capital, access to finances, access to resources, that all of the bureaucracy, all of the red tape, all of the challenges that makes it difficult for you to do anything in this country, I'm fighting for Bahamas where all of that changes and Bahamians all over the world look back home, look back here, because they understand something that perhaps was missing before. When I get home, everything I need is available for me.
Bahamas, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with the blueprint for progress.
This is definitely the time for BAMSI to continue to build on the progress that we've made. There's now drone technology, there's now year-round container farming, you have hydroponics, you have aquaponics, you have precision farming. There have been record numbers of enrollments, record numbers of flat fishing certifications. We've had record enrollments in our online courses, students from across the family of islands. Because in BAMSI, we are not just cultivating produce, we are cultivating producers.
Foreign commercial banks have been closing across our islands. For thousands of Bahamians, our country's post office savings banks are a lifeline, providing safe and secure banking. But Michael Pintard says,
we will abolish the bank through the post office system.
That's a risk Bahamians can't afford. That's why the Prime Minister is making post office savings banks stronger to protect Bahamian families and small businesses who rely on them.
The world is changing. It's bringing new challenges, but also new opportunities. The truth is, our economy always left too many Bahamians out. Now we're opening new doors in agriculture, tourism, energy, entrepreneurship, providing grants, scholarships, national service, and upskilling. A new generation is rising, and we're finally moving in the right direction, building an economy that includes everyone.
Welcome back. We're here with the blueprint for progress. Now we're going to open the floor because, of course, we have audience questions. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to ask a question? All right. First brave soldier, come on down.
Good evening, everyone. Christian Butler here. My question is for Minister Campbell. You spoke extensively about food security, and for In the Now, you spoke specifically about the Golden Yoke program. I want to know, how does that look for us in the Family Islands?
Jomo?
That's an awesome question, considering that we're an archipelago. If you would recall in our last budget exercise, the theme was expanding opportunity, island by island. The Prime Minister just didn't choose that theme willy-nilly. It's because he is a family island man. Our DPM is from the family island. And so through the ministry, we have sorted our business. We've created an initiative called Around the Family Islands. We've touched Andros, Abaco, Exuma, Cat Island, and even as far south as Michael, opening up our departments of agriculture, departments of marine resources on each and every family island. I am proud to tell you that right now as we speak, the island of Grand Key, ladies and gentlemen, is self-sufficient when it comes to the production of eggs. Self-sufficient. And so that is a model that we started with an offshoot of the Golden Yoke program called the National Layer Program. It started in New Providence, but it grew and has expanded throughout the entirety of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so that is where we are for Family Island Progress.
Do we have any more questions? Do we have another young man?
Good evening. My name is Patrick Bean, and I have a question for Sebastian. In reference to small businesses, how are we sure that they can flourish in the Bahamas?
I think the first thing we need to do in terms of small business is it starts with us. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but nobody wants to support one. I think we can make a national commitment as a people to start to support small businesses more and more every opportunity we get. The second thing is it's also about exposure, making sure that our entrepreneurs are exposed to new supply chains. So ensuring that our government policy fosters trade shows, whether we do trade missions and takes groups and large conglomerates of entrepreneurs over to other markets where items of interest or industries of interest, having these global shows where we can connect them to more distributors and manufacturers to bring the cost of their products down and open up their supply chain. Thirdly, we can obviously access to funding is the biggest one. And that's why in the SBDC program, we are increasing funding in that program to ensure that small businesses have access to more funding, more mentorship, more programs. And training is also important. I mean, being a mentor myself, there's a lot of aspiration, there's a lot of ambition, but they didn't teach us how to be owners in school. So we find ourselves, getting baptized by fire. And I think we're going to have a lot more commitment into ensuring that our programs and how to scale a business is more frequently. And then, we live in an area now where technology has democratized how we get our message out, meaning a message about our product and our service. Anyone now can create videos and graphics and content. Anyone now can automate emails to automatically respond to customers because AI has made it so easy. And if you don't know how to do that, you can even ask AI, ChatGPT, to teach you how to actually do that. So, start to use these tools like ChatGPT, not as a search engine like Google, but use it as a mentor to give you information, ask it questions, intimate questions, just as you asked myself, and you can get a lot of answers. And then lastly, export. Make sure that your products not just are available domestically, and ensure that if they are available domestically. So you want to ensure that they're online and readily available so that anyone in Andros, Bimini, Cat Island, and Nassau can see your products and services. You have a way to get it to them within a certain amount of time. You gotta remember, we as a people, even though we don't have the likes of Amazon in our country, we are used to Amazon type of shopping where we can go online, find what we need. So we have to model our offering after the standard of where the world already is. And lastly, like I said, export. Think big, right? Think global. You make sure that your product and service is exportable. Find out which regions needs the service or product that you have, and start to do Google ads and target those regions. And like exporting is not hard anymore. You can send things from Nassau using traditional things like DHL, FedEx. It's a little bit more expensive than you would want, but they're also freight forwarders that have lower cost of shipping, and we can export. And then advocacy. Don't use your members of parliament for jobs. Don't sell yourself short. We should be going to parliament to make sure that we put policies in place that make your industry duty free in certain areas because you're a manufacturer or you're a producer or distributor of something. Like, help us help you. You guys know what you're trying to do. You guys know the industries you're in. You guys know what would make that environment easier for you to thrive. And we want to have more policies that will help these businesses grow. And that's from importing and making it more cost effective for you to bring things into the country, and also policies to make it easier for it to be exported. And if you put all that together, that's how your small business is going to thrive.
Thank you so much, Sebas, for that. Now, one thing about this party, one thing about the government, we want to think about technology and digitalization. And so we're going to move into a different segment, and we're going to open our Zoom link, and we have some questions that are here for you for the panel audience. Go ahead for me. Good evening.
Good night, Kenny. Good night, panelists. My name is Keitron Meadows, calling from the island from Bahamas. And my question is, under the next PLP administration, what will be done to address the cost of living on our island?
We're going to direct that question to Ms. JoBeth Coleby-Davis.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Grand Bahama, because you're an important part of what we've been working on. And so I'll speak from the energy platform because that ties into the reduction of cost of living. What we have in the industry we call LCOE. That means levelized cost of energy. And we, under the Bahamas, operate under the levelized cost of energy system because we're an archipelago. So let me just explain a little bit what we've done. In our country, the logistics of getting fuel to many of our islands is extremely high. So that means the cost of generating power to many of those small homes is extremely high. It's even higher because the population is smaller. And so it doesn't spread, the economies of scale doesn't balance out for the cost to be low. So what we run under the Bahamas energy system is a levelized cost of energy where everyone is under the same tariff rate, the same tariff structure, no matter which island they're on, except Grand Bahama. Right? So our government has went into negotiations to purchase GB Power, specifically because we want to make sure that we're not just reducing the cost of living and the cost of energy for all of our family islands, and one of them is segregated from benefiting from that reduction. So GB Power purchase will also bring Grand Bahama under a system which is the levelized cost of energy, where no matter how the logistics cost is extremely higher, how the economies of scale is not balanced, is fragmented because the population is smaller and the demand of energy is smaller, but the fact that they are in the Bahamas and they are Bahamians, they should all benefit from that one tariff structure. So we will be continuously working on reducing the cost of electricity. That is one. The government has also implemented through BPL during our winter months, Merry and Bright program. And that program allows many persons sometimes have other situations that come up. They have other costs that come in their homes. And so sometimes they can't keep up with the cost of their electricity. So we have entered into a Merry and Bright program that we run annually that allows them to go in. And sometimes when your power is turned off, you have to pay 50% or sometimes 70% of the bill to get it reconnect. That's because of the cost of the linesman going off and coming back out, logistics, right? So what that program allows is you to go in and pay 10%, but also enter into a payment program that allows you to have power, pay that reduced cost, and enter into a payment program. The last thing I want to talk about in reducing the cost is awareness. So BPL has been doing a number of things to bring awareness to how you, in your own home, on your own personal time, or in your own business, can reduce the cost. So we have an energy audit team that goes out. You can make the request through the ministry or through BPL that you want an energy auditor to come to your home. Some people don't realize that air escapes and enters into your home at certain points, right? And also, where you set your air condition is contributing to the high cost. So we think when we go home, especially in the summer months, if we put it to 62, that means automatically I'm going to be feeling like 62 degrees in here. No, that does not mean that. What that means in the summer is if your room feels like 95 degrees, you're telling your air condition, make this room feel like 62 degrees. That means it has to eliminate all of that heat first, right? So it is better to set it at a sensible temperature, 72, right? Open your windows first before you turn on your air conditioner in the summer. When you go home, sometimes let that heat escape, and then close the windows, set it to 72, and then it's easier for your air conditioner to work to cool it to 72. And so educating our public on some of the things they can take and implement in their homes also help with keeping that cost down. And so there are a number of things we've been doing, but education, awareness of how to reduce that cost through our energy audit program is, I think, the most beneficial for all of our residential customers and businesses, because it teaches you what to do in your own time to reduce your usage.
Thank you so much. Grand Bahama, we hope that that has answered your question. Do we have another? We do have somebody else on the Zoom. Good evening. You can go ahead and ask your question, please.
Good evening. Good evening, Minister Campbell. I'm Shanton Evans. I'm calling in from North Andros. I see my hometown's potential to grow and feed ourselves. So my question to you is, how do we fix food security in the Bahamas?
Well, you calling in from the Big Yard. And the Big Yard has a deeply rooted history in agriculture. I won't go too far down memory lane, but I'd just like to share this with you. In 1964, my grandfather, James Campbell, was the former commissioner of Cat Island. And he wrote a report to the Governor General. In that report, he spoke about the agricultural aspect of islands like Andros, but in particular his island, Cat Island, in which he indicated that the citrus crop production at that time was most luxuriant. In addition to that, Cat Island was also responsible for exporting several hundred dozen cases of pineapple, not only throughout Cat Island, but throughout the entire Bahamas. And I don't have to tell you what all Andros is known for. So, in 2 words, I say we are aiming to increase local production. And how are we doing that? We're doing that in very different ways. We're starting off on a smaller scale, like I said earlier, through backyard farming. We've also moved up to community farming. If you happen to be in Nassau again, I'll invite you to drive through Centerville on Fritz Lane, and you will see that we have our own community farm that is tended by locals from within the Centerville constituency. And we're looking to roll that out to other constituencies, approximately 10, with the assistance of ADO, the Agricultural Development Organization. Port Charlotte is there on the list. And so we're going to go from backyard farming to community farming and then to commercial farming. And how are we addressing the commercial farming? By those same agriculture, marine cadets, that 100 plus that are looking to get into the workforce. We're also addressing it with those students who have enrolled in BAMSI. We've increased the certification programs in BAMSI because, just as Sebastian said earlier, the need for higher learning is there. As Ms. Lynes said earlier, the need for smarter farming population and fishing population is there. So just last week, we signed off after tweaking it, on a dive certification program that we're looking to launch in conjunction with the LJM Maritime Academy, because we want to ensure that that vast ocean we have out there that we call the Bahamian waters is fished only by Bahamian fishermen. And I know that there may be a lot of people out there who are going to say, yeah, the Bahamas can never feed themselves. So let me share this last tidbit with you. I'm going to give you a statistic that didn't come from the Bahamian government. It came from the World Bank of National Statistics, which indicated that the last 3 years in this country, us Bahamas, have grown this sector by 26%, which is the largest growth in 33 years. And so, Andres, stay tuned. We were there a few months ago, and we will be back there this week, God spare life, because we're coming to open up those dorms and on the BAMC campus that have been closed for so long because students are banging at the doors waiting to access their opportunity. And that's how we're going to achieve food security in this country.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Now, Sebas, we have a question for you that's probably from our online pollers. So this is another question. How can we bridge the communication and the skills gap?
Well, we can tackle the skill gap in 2 words. Eliminate educational silos and alignment. And what I mean by that is we have to be very, very intentional to ensure that our curriculum is perfectly aligned with what the job demand is in our country. As well as our curriculum also has to be squarely aligned with our national development plan. So if we know from a national development perspective where we want to go, where that's from industries, accomplishments, or goals and milestones, we have to make sure that we're educating our populace in alignment with that. If we're going to have foreign direct investments and solicit those as a policy, then we have to make sure that just as we solicit those foreign direct investments, we have an educational system that is educating our citizens to be stakeholders in those very same opportunities that we're bringing to our shores. So as a country, we have a strong xenophobic approach to foreign labor. But what we're not strong, just equally as strong at, is ensuring that the same jobs we complain about foreigners taking, that we have an educational system that is preparing Bahamians for those jobs. So we have to be more educated, more intentional, and ensure that our programs, and that's why, again, I like to sound like a Scots record, but this is why upskill is important. Because we have to ensure that our people are educated and prepared for the opportunities we are creating as an administration. That's why expanding the BTVI campus is important, because we sign heads of agreements. We hear all the stories about the 500 construction jobs, but we got to be cranking out 500 construction laborers out of BTVI to get those jobs. So alignment and ensuring that we're not in a silo, and that is how we're going to close the skills gap.
Thank you so much. Tonight we talked about progress, not promises, not politics. We spoke about progress for you, for me, for the entire Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the truth is, we've come too far to turn back now. So the question is simple. Do we keep building? Do we keep on the momentum train? Or do we go backwards? Good night, Bahamas. I'm your host, Kendanique Delaveau, the blueprint for progress.